Klay Thompson has been a vocal point of the Warriors dynasty for the past decade, taking home 3 NBA titles and alongside Stephen Curry really changing the game of basketball as we know it. But going into the draft, I think it's safe to say this is not exactly what scouts were expecting. So today, we're going to look back at every player that was taken ahead of him and see what they're up to now. Trust me, some of these are going to surprise you. With the NBA Finals here, I'm going to be bringing you guys a ton of videos all about the Warriors and Celtics, so trust me, you want to hit that sub button. Let's aim for 11 likes on today's video, and let's get into this. Klay Thompson is actually a super interesting prospect to look back at, as if he came into the league just a few years later, there's just no way he would go where he went. He came into the 2011 draft after 3 years at Washington State, where he absolutely dominated. As a junior, he averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting over 40% from 3 on over 7 attempts a game. So you had a 6'6" shooting guard with a 6'10" wingspan that proved himself to be one of the best shooters in the country on extremely high volume. Now yes, he was still a lottery selection, so it's not like scouts underrated him too much, but when you look back at his scouting reports, there was a common theme, and that was athleticism. They loved the production, they loved the shooting, but there was a lot of concerns about his athleticism, citing his struggles against quick defenders, something that was only going to get more emphasized in the pros. I think it's about time we drop this athleticism thing, well, at least putting it on the pedestal that it's been on from the beginning of the league's inception. Obviously, athleticism matters. Some of the greatest athletes the game has seen have become some of the greatest players. LeBron, MJ, Kobe, you get the point. But this game also requires a ton of skill, which in a lot of cases can negate a lack of athleticism. Putting too much weight into one factor of a prospect is what has allowed players like Luka Doncic and Klay to get drafted much lower than they should. Now, I won't be ignorant that sometimes you can make the case for the exact argument. The perfect example would be the player that was taken just ahead of Klay, which we're definitely going to get to. But moral of the story, the Warriors took advantage of the league's concerns surrounding Klay, and with the 11th overall pick, paired him with their emerging star point guard Stephen Curry. It was clear pretty early on that the Warriors had found something special. As a rookie, he averaged 13 points as a 40% three-point shooter. By his 4th season, he was averaging 22 a game, solidifying himself not only as one of the best shooters we've ever seen, but one of the top two-way players in the league. Now, there's no denying this was the perfect scenario, playing alongside the best shooter of all time in Curry in a system that ran through an elite playmaking forward for a coach that understood the value of the three-pointer. In 2015, he would take home his first championship, and by the end of 2018, would have 3 under his belt. But then, we saw tragedy strike his career. He would get injured in the NBA Finals during 2019, a series that without injury would have probably earned him his 4th title. He suffered a torn ACL that would cause him to miss the entire upcoming season, but it didn't stop there. Before the following year, he would tear his Achilles in a pickup game, causing him to once again miss the entire season. So after 2 years of absence from the court, he returned this season. We didn't know what to expect, but most weren't too concerned, as he's a player that isn't too reliant on his athleticism, which is kind of funny, as those concerns before the draft have come full circle. While Klay took some weeks to really get into the swing of things, he's not too far off from the player we remember. He averaged 20 points in the regular season as well as the playoffs, and right now is going into the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics with a really good shot at taking home his 4th NBA title. So now let's look at those 10 players that they decided to take over Klay. Starting it off at number 1, we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers, and man, did they struck luck in the lottery. Not only did they have the worst lottery odds before getting number 1, but this wasn't even their selection. This actually came from the Clippers, which just goes to show you that there's a serious danger of sending unprotected picks. Now, the Cavaliers didn't have a decision to make here. There was a consensus top prospect, Duke point guard Kyrie Irving, one of the most skilled prospects we've ever seen, who actually only played in 11 games as a freshman due to injury, but scouts saw enough, with him averaging 18 points and 4 assists, shooting 53% from the field and 46% from 3. I think most of you know what happened to him after that selection. He won Rookie of the Year and quickly became one of the top point guards in the league. He would play an instrumental part of the Cavaliers winning the title in 2016, but would leave soon after, wanting to leave the shadow of LeBron James. Since then, he's had stints with the Celtics and now with the Nets, with controversies every step of the way, but still proving to be one of the most gifted scorers we've ever seen. After Kyrie, we saw a pretty laughable stretch of players come off the board. Arizona forward Derek Williams would go to the Timberwolves at number 2. It's easy to clown this selection now, but at the time, we saw nothing but praise, and for pretty good reason. As a sophomore, the 6'8" elite athlete averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, shooting 60% from the field and 57% from 3. Sadly though, it became pretty clear pretty quickly he just wasn't going to be the player we all thought. He averaged 9 points on terrible efficiency as a rookie, and in his 2nd season, went up to 12 points, but that would be the only year he ever reached double figures. After that, he bounced around the league with tiny roles, all the way up until 2018 when he decided to go to Germany, where he's played since, and all things considered, has had a solid amount of success. The third overall pick was in the hands of the Utah Jazz, who decided to go with Turkish center Enes Kanter. Kanter had made a name for himself overseas playing in Germany and actually had plans to play college basketball at the University of Kentucky, but the NCAA ruled him ineligible for the compensation that he had received playing overseas, so he ended up going straight to the draft. He was able to put together a pretty solid and lengthy career, but never came close to the expectations that came along with being the third overall pick in the draft. He averaged 5 points as a rookie, 7 points in his second year. By his third season, he was traded to Oklahoma City and since then has bounced around the league, providing a solid rebounding and interior scoring presence, but his struggles on the defensive end have really hurt his value and ability to get on the court in playoff situations. The latest development with Enes is that he pulled a run on a test and now legally goes by Enes Freedom. Since getting waived by the Rockets in February, he's yet to get a new contract. With the fourth overall pick, we once again saw the Cleveland Cavaliers with their personal selection. They ended up going with Texas big man Tristan Thompson. Similar to Enes, Thompson had a very solid career, but just not quite what you expect from a top 5 pick. Early on, he showed his ability as a really well-rounded big with anything involving the paint. By his 5th season, he was playing a big role on a Cavaliers team that won an NBA title, and with the help of LeBron James, was able to land himself a 5-year, $82 million contract extension, allowing him to convince Khloe Kardashian that he was actually a relevant NBA player. Since then, we've seen his career slowly fade with age. In the last 2 seasons, he's played on 4 different teams. His most recent stop was Chicago, where he averaged 6 points and 5 rebounds. He's going to be a free agent this offseason, probably looking at a league minimum deal. At 5, we've got the Toronto Raptors, who went with another foreign prospect in center Jonas Valanciunas, who really looks like a steal just based on the players that were taken ahead of him. He spent 5 years with the Raptors, averaging 12 points and 9 rebounds, but he was really a late bloomer, as most of his success would come after leaving Toronto for Memphis, where he averaged 16 and 11 in his 3 seasons, and now he's on the Pelicans, coming off a year averaging 18 points. 6 was in the hands of the Washington Wizards, and they decided to go with yet another foreign prospect, power forward Jan Vesely. Like a lot of the picks so far, it wasn't a great career for him. He only lasted 3 seasons in the league, averaging 3 points a game. After that, he went back overseas, where he quickly became one of the top players in Europe, even winning a EuroLeague title in 2017 and a EuroLeague MVP in 2019. At 7, the Charlotte Bobcats traded with the Sacramento Kings to get yet another foreign prospect in 6'8" center Bismack Biyombo. The start of his career wasn't great. He averaged just 4 points in his 4 years in Charlotte. We then saw him get super lucky. He signed a 2-year deal worth $6 million with the Raptors. In his first year there, it wasn't anything special, but he went on a pretty good run during the playoffs and was able to convince the Magic to sign him to a 4-year, $72 million deal. He averaged just 6 points in 2 seasons there before getting traded back to Charlotte. Currently, he's on the Phoenix Suns. At 8, we had the Pistons land an extremely hyped up prospect in the early years of YouTube and social media, Brandon Knight. He went viral in high school, then went to Kentucky, where he averaged 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. His career in the NBA got off to a pretty solid start. He averaged 13 a game in his first 2 years with Detroit, then got traded to the Bucks, where he went up to 18 points and 5 assists, then got traded once again to Phoenix, where he went up to 20 points a game. It really looked like he was on pace to become a very solid point guard in this league, but sadly would suffer a knee injury and would never be the same player again. He never even reached double figures after that and bounced around the league, most recently spending 5 games this year with the Dallas Mavericks. After Brandon Knight, we saw one of the biggest names of the draft come off the board to the Charlotte Bobcats, Kemba Walker. The 6-foot point guard was fresh off an incredible run in March Madness, leading UConn to a national title. A lot of the times when we see these March Madness heroes get huge boosts in draft stock, they disappoint, but that really wasn't the case with Kemba. He became the face of the Bobcats and eventually the Hornets for nearly a decade. By his second season, he was averaging 17 points a game. He would continue to progress, and by 2019, had made his 3rd All-Star team in a row, averaging 26 and 6. After that, he would go to Boston, where he once again made the All-Star team, but injuries really started to catch up to him. He spent this past year with the Knicks, averaging just 12 points a game, shooting 40% from the field. Then lastly, we've got the player taking just 1 selection ahead of Klay by the Sacramento Kings, JimmerRange. Now I know I mentioned that we need to take athleticism off the pedestal we've put it on, but there's still a line. Taking a 4-year, 6'1" point guard that has no athleticism to speak of inside the lottery just doesn't seem like a smart decision, as tough as it is to say with a channel name like JimmerRange. In 2011, there was no one more fun to watch than JimmerRange. As a senior, he averaged 29 points, shooting 40% from 3 on 9 attempts a game, which is crazy considering how often he was shooting from nearly half court. Once getting to the NBA though, it was very clear he just wasn't going to be able to compete. He averaged 8 points as a rookie, shooting 39% from the field. That'd be his highest average of his career. Since then, he bounced around the league for a couple years, then went overseas to China, where he became a superstar. He spent some time a couple years ago playing in Greece, but last year returned to China, where he's playing today. And there it is, the 10 players that teams decided to take over Klay Thompson. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. I've been thinking about doing Stephen Curry. If you guys want me to do that, let me know. If you like the video, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.